After an unforgettable stay in India, we took our next flight to Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Also, we are about to drop that video as well, where we're talking about our experience in South and North India. The weather, it was in March, not so good. It was warm and very humid. It was approximately 30 degrees Celsius. It was sunny and sometimes cloudy. We booked our accommodation through Airbnb for a relatively good price, like $24 per night. And it had a decent kitchen with a nice balcony, which offered a nice view, and 2 rooms, which was very comfortable.
Yeah, so we didn't stay in a hotel yet in Vietnam. We're just going with apartments now. Really comfortable. In Vietnam, you can get some really decent apartment for a relatively low price, like $20 per hour. And if you're also going to use apartments here, if you're going to stay in apartments, then I would suggest you to first check them out on Airbnb, or if you are into Facebook groups, you can use them as well. But if you're just coming in the city, you're landing here, then book a couple of nights in the apartment, in the accommodation, so you can have a look at it and then decide if you want to extend your stay or not. Here you have to be careful because some accommodations are like booked in advance, so you'll need to do some research here. And unlikely, like it wasn't like in India, you can get really cheap accommodations for like $5 to $10 per night, but you're not so sure what you're gonna get. Here, it's pretty sure if you pay like $20 per night or even less than that, if you can negotiate that with the host. After staying like through Airbnb, you can just talk to them for an accommodation, and that will get you a cheaper price and you'll still get a pretty decent apartment. The internet connection is also pretty good. Like I had 50 Mbps, and that's enough for my meetings, for my calls. Sometimes the connection drops to like 20, but it's still pretty stable even if it drops at like 20 or 30 Mbps. The mobile data is also pretty good. I got a SIM as soon as I landed. You shouldn't do that in the airport because they generally will charge you more. So if you have like an eSIM, something like that going on, they are also generally a bit more expensive. So if you're gonna get to local shop and get a physical SIM, you can use that and you'll get decent and good internet, good mobile data for a relatively cheap price.
With food, it depends on Western or local cuisine, but the local cuisine is pretty cheap, so it offers food for a good price. But the first days of our stay, we didn't like it so much.
Yeah, we felt like the meals were pretty dry and not that spiced. We came from India, so we were accustomed to that kind of food. Also, we had lots of vegetarian meals in India, so here they're gonna use a lot of meat, and some parts they use like raw meat. They don't like that, and also they use lots of like exotic meats, like salads with snake heads or chicken testicles. At some point we tried that, not chicken testicles of course, but the other kind of exotic meals, and they taste good. They're not bad. If you go at local markets, if you go like on street food markets, you can have that food as well. Also, the food here seems to be pretty healthy. Like they don't overcook the vegetables, but it's claimed to be pretty good for you. So on that aspect, the food is not that oily as well, so you can get some really healthy food for a cheap price.
And the menu is almost written in Vietnamese, so you don't know exactly what you're gonna get. And in every drink, so it's when you order coffee or tea, they put a lot of ice there, and especially the Vietnamese coffee is very good. But
yeah, the amount of caffeine is really high, but coffee is really good here in Vietnam. You'll have lots of different sorts of coffee, like coffee with condensed milk. I love the condensed milk. You have like salted coffee, you have coconut coffee. It's really good, but we're not used to coffee, so it hits us pretty hard. We usually share one coffee, but now I'm getting used to it. But at first I got like jittery, I couldn't sleep properly, but I'm also getting addicted as well, so I might keep
both.
that.
We used the application called Grab. It's like an Uber app, and you can decide if you want to get driven by a car or a motorbike, and it also offers a good price, so it's also very comfortable to get to from A to B.
Yeah, and this also doesn't take long to find a driver, especially in the cities. We're in direct contact with the driver, and a thing that happened in India once or twice was that drivers cancelled on us, especially if you're trying to book like short distance trips. But it never occurred here in Vietnam, not even once, even if we paid like $50 for a 5-minute ride or even less than that. And the quality of the cars is pretty good. One other thing to take into consideration is that you're gonna use lots of cash here in Vietnam. They have like a digital payment system, but you need to have like Vietnamese bank account for that, so we cannot use that. And also most of the places accept cards, but not all of them. And one strange issue that we had is that the Grab app doesn't accept our card, so you have to pay every driver per cash.
Most of the people are riding on motorbikes and cruising along the street, and it seemed like everyone is following their own rules, so that's making the streets a little bit also dangerous and unsafe.
Most of the people here are renting scooters or motorbikes. You can do that for like 1.5 million to 2.5 million dongs in a month. And yeah, you need to be careful with that. You don't need an international driving license, you need an international driving permit, but nobody really checks if you do not have an international driving permit and you are like involved in some kind of accident or some kind of misunderstanding or some damage, the insurance is not going to cover for you and you're always going to be on the wrong side. But you can do what we did is renting an e-bike. That's pretty good for the city. We have done that in Da Nang, and it only goes to like 50 km per hour, but that's still enough in the street. You have to be really careful. The thought here is that everybody's gonna come to get you.
And also a big issue is they cannot speak English, so it's a problem to communicate with them, and it's also very hard to socialize with the locals. They cannot answer it, so it's a little bit difficult, and Google Translation is going to be your best friend here and is really helpful.
But there's like lots of expats and lots of tourists, but you don't want to socialize with tourists. You want to socialize with the expats and the digital nomad community here, which is really big, especially in Ho Chi Minh and in Da Nang. We'll talk more about that in the next video. There are people all over the world, even local Vietnamese here, interact with us, and it's a really great community to be a part of.
We visited Phang Mu Lao, and that's a street with many bars, restaurants, clubs and music blasting from every doorway. This place was very loud and crowded still. It's a perfect place for a drink with friends and to get entertained. During our food tour, we enjoyed riding with our guides on motorbikes. We experienced more of the chaotic traffic and gained deeper insights of Ho Chi Minh City. The tour itself was fine and offered good places with delicious food, appetizers and dessert. On the other hand, it was a bit disappointing for us because we got less food than expected and were even hungry after the food tour. To digest the food a bit, we made a stop in which our guide told us a bit about living as a local in Vietnam and showed us around the buildings, which was interesting. We also joined a kickboxing class at K1 Fitness and Fight Factory, where the first session is free. Since then, each class costs 100,000 Vietnamese dong, and it's a good possibility to socialize and talk to others. So all in all, Ho Chi Minh is a typical city life where the weather is not that nice. However, it's a good place for work and experiencing South Vietnamese culture. But for us nature guys, we didn't find many activities that suited us. So we kept our stay in Ho Chi Minh City short and took a 9 hours train ride to our next destination called Nha Trang.